Oh, oh, it's about to go down.
That's my best friend.
So Nikocado Avocado's long-awaited response has finally dropped, and this video will be an analysis of that. If you want a recap of what happened between him and Stephanie, the link to my video should pop up here. Nick's silence garnered a ton of criticism, since he's known as the guy who lunges on even a hint of drama. Finally, when the tables are turned on him, he chose not to immediately respond. However, I think this was a calculated decision. I'm sure you've noticed that YouTubers upload a lot more in December and call it Vlogmas, and it's the idea that you guys are all celebrating the Christmas spirit together. Wrong. YouTubers upload way more because advertisers pay more for ads in December because it's Christmas and consumerism goes hand in hand with it. So for Nick, his plan for constant uploads through the month was not affected by the drama. I feel like the average person would probably stop uploading and take a step back, but Nick kept uploading because sis has to get his coin. And he's even teased the drama in titles to clickbait people into thinking he's going to talk about the drama, but he doesn't. One of the reasons he hasn't uploaded the video is because he didn't want to put out a response on Christmas, which is fair enough, but we're past Christmas now, so what took him so long? I have no doubt that his video will be calculated, but we'll still skip a few things. But anyway, let's get into his response. One of the big things Stephanie spoke about was her being wary of her security since Nick took pictures inside her house without her permission. Nick then goes on to explain that Stephanie gave him a long tour of her house with Nick's fiance on FaceTime, and his argument against what Stephanie was insinuating was that Nick took pictures of the place with Stephanie right in front of him. The pictures that Nick took were photos of furniture he liked.
But she was sitting right there as I took a photo, watching me. What she's saying here is so incriminating. She's making it look like I did something without her knowledge that therefore threatened her peace of mind. And out of the few photos I took, they're only of the same room. I was admiring her furniture, admiring her, and she says I don't have fancy light fixtures. I'm sorry. That's the first house I've been in that looks like that. This is a multi-million-dollar home.
Stephanie said that she couldn't add the clips when Nick was walking around taking pictures of things because it was against the law in LA. But from the evidence that he's shown, it looks like she was right there when he took the pictures. However, he didn't show us his whole camera roll. Maybe he deleted the pictures that Stephanie is talking about, but the question of if he took pictures without her permission remains up in the air. One thing that I found interesting was how he mentioned she lived in a multi-million house. Her wealth is something that is further explored in the rest of the video. And then Nick addresses the Veronica Wang subject.
She wants her viewers to think she'd never take part in a discussion about Veronica. She asked us, me and Zach, to take part in a multi-video documentary about Veronica Wang. Let me read you what she said. This is at the end of August, a couple of months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, and this is what she said. Hi, so I have a wild idea. Veronica Wang is going to be in Los Angeles and wanted to meet me to talk. I want to do a more serious docu-series type video, Shane Dawson type, with Veronica, highlighting not only everything that happened with Shook Bang and including what happened between Veronica and I, but also all the personal conflicts that were involved. And then Stephanie says, so essentially, I want to address everything that she did that hurt everybody involved, starting from Shook Bang, and maybe finally get her to understand that she wasn't the victim here. And this is what I said to her. I said, it honestly seems like a little much. Like at this point in time, no one even knows you stopped being friends or that she treated you so poorly. She never even apologized to you or anybody, so I don't think it's a good idea, just my thoughts. Stephanie said, but I do feel that her reaching out to me is her, hopefully, trying to apologize for everything that went down. In terms of the video, if it is to even happen, I'm hoping it will be a chance for us and everyone else she wronged, so that none of us have this looming over our heads any longer.
So these texts date back to August, so for Stephanie to want to create a Veronica Wang documentary is fishy, since her whole video is about how she doesn't want to bring up any of the drama. But 4 months ago she was toying with making a big docu-series about it. And then the message about how she wanted an apology for how she was wronged is kind of strange. In her exposed video of Nick, she calls Nick out for making it seem like Veronica did a terrible thing to her.
Because he said, she is such a strong woman to me. As if I had endured something so horrendous by Veronica.
but Stephanie kind of just insinuated that she did, since she thought it was worth an apology and a whole documentary around it. Something isn't adding up here. This drama with Veronica and Shukbang happened months ago, and I think the mukbang community was over it. So for Stephanie's reason to clear it all up because she thinks the drama is looming over them doesn't really add up. However, I do get why she wants to make the series business-wise, since it would garner millions of views, since nobody would be expecting a sit-down video with Stephanie, Nick and Veronica. But what should also be mentioned is that these texts are from months ago, and our opinions and ideas are constantly changing. Yeah, maybe in August she thought it was a good idea, but then after Nick and Zach said it may not be the correct choice, could have led to her changing her mind. Because guess what? People grow and change. Using the messages proves she wanted to talk about it back in August, but it doesn't prove that she wanted to talk about the drama on Nick's channel in December. Nick did a similar thing to Stephanie where he mentions other dramas she's in and how she's a flaky person. This of course wasn't needed, but it builds the narrative he's trying to build around Stephanie, which is someone who doesn't keep friends and someone who is flaky and someone who just isn't trusted in the mukbang community. Stephanie also did the same thing in her video where she added clips of Nick making inappropriate comments about a date he was on to build a story about the Me Too movement. It's like two people who are trying to use each other's tactics to sway the public's opinion on them.
3 months later, she's still very, very upset about Veronica. She brought her up. She is not happy. She is not comfortable with what took place.
So from Nick's perspective, Stephanie has been sitting on the Veronica drama for a while now, wanting to speak about it but reluctant to put drama on her channel because of the response it would get. A big part of Stephanie's video that I saw some criticism of was how she kept linking things Nick did to her past trauma and the Me Too movement.
And linking that to her collaboration. I'm sorry, but there was no reason to bring up assault into a discussion about ghosting me for a business meeting, lying about why you ghosted me for the business meeting, and then me being angry about it.
So from what I got from Stephanie's video was that she did this to show how Nick manipulated what she remembered of her conversations with him and how she felt like his need to force her to talk about drama reminded her of her traumatic experience.
And the only way that I've ever felt like this to any degree in my life prior to Nick was a couple years ago. And I vowed I would never find myself in a position like that ever again, where I felt like no really didn't have a lot of power, and I felt like it didn't matter if I was uncomfortable.
But people have argued that it's immoral for her to compare what happened to her in her past to what Nick did to her now, since there was no physical contact.
And this is gonna follow me for life. It's defaming who I am as a person. And she knows that most people are not gonna watch that whole video either. 45 minutes, 50 minutes, that's a very long time. Okay, so people are coming to the video, they're only gonna watch the first minute or two. They're gonna draw a conclusion by the way of the thumbnail, the title, the tags, the description.
Nick is annoyed that he's labelled as something that he isn't, since Stephanie doesn't explain her trauma until halfway through the video, knowing that people wouldn't watch the whole thing. To this point, I get where he's coming from, but it isn't her problem. If people won't watch the whole thing where she distinguishes between her trauma and what Nick did, I don't think you can really blame her for that.
I feel so bad for Honey because people think like she was just picking on Stephanie out of the blue. She's taken some sponsorships from her. She's never ever gotten to know her. She only contacts her when she wants something out of her. There's a lot of people who already have this opinion about Stephanie Sue. How she is on camera is not the real Stephanie Sue.
I guess there'll be another video about this and the drama goes on. It's frustrating that Nick keeps mentioning how people don't mess with her because of some reason that he'll allude to but won't reveal. Why even add the point if you're not going to talk about it?
Oh, please.
All of a sudden, the exact phrase, in and out of sleep, that she said brought her to such emotional distress as now she's giggling and laughing about it because it's making money for her. She's getting tens of thousands of people going to her merchandise page, that this influx of traffic, that she put a sale on every single one of her items. Every single one. She's never had a sale there before, as far as I know.
So the merch that Stephanie released with the term in and out of sleep, which was the phrase that YouTubers Honey and Nikocado were called out for, was put in a t-shirt and sold by Stephanie, where she states that all proceeds will go to charity. Nick's issue with this is that she put a sale on all the other items on the site, since she would be getting lots of traffic for the merch and would entice others to buy her other items, since we all love a good sale. This point is slightly flawed since FanJoy usually does have sales around the holidays, so the sale isn't something that is jaw-dropping. If you look at other YouTubers' pages, you'll see that there is sales. Nick argues that she is capitalizing on what she describes as a traumatic and hurtful experience.
Look at the tags under her accusation video. It says, "Hi Nick, I know you're seeing this." If she's that scared of me, that is the strangest thing. That was for me to see. Because people can't see that unless they're a YouTuber or they have special downloaded software to get those tags. That was subliminal messaging to me saying, I know you're seeing this. Why, if she's that scared, that upset, that traumatized, why would she toy with me?
If she was so broken up about this, I don't get why she felt the need to add this tag. This is starting to feel set up and kind of creepy now. That tag feels like something you would taunt someone with, not someone she claimed she was afraid of. I know she said she was taking back her power, but this tag seems to be a teasing tactic. It kind of feels Gossip Girl-like, which begs the question, is she actually hurt by all of this to the gravity she's describing it as?
And you're still willing to watch my stories to see what I do next, so you have more material. Who taunts somebody that they're so afraid of? No. Let's just talk about something else. No, she was traumatized that I would do something to her. Based on what? What did I ever do in my speech, in my action, in my gesture, in person, at that time during our collab, that would have given her the feeling of, if I say no, he might do something. Like what?
I think that Nick doesn't understand the position he holds in the mukbang community. I don't think Stephanie was afraid that he would physically attack her, but what he does in front of the camera later on, where he would make an exposed video, probably what she was afraid of. He's done it before with Trisha and Veronica, so you can't really blame her for not wanting to make a big deal about not wanting to talk about Veronica to your face, because it's inevitable that he would have made a video on it. Nicocado's post about wanting to expose her before she even made the video proves that he thrives off of drama. His channel has become spilling tea, so I get why Stephanie was scared to say anything, because this could have been career ending for her.
This is profession. This is people's time. It doesn't matter if I'm eating. If you're late, you say, sorry, I can't make it. To say, I was in and out of sleep and I have a lot of sponsors. It's also a lie, because where are those sponsored posts?
I think that Stephanie using the excuse of sponsorships was to try and absolve her from commitments so she didn't have to collab with him, and using this point was an attempt to make it more believable. I feel like this was made obvious in the video. It was just her way to detach herself from collabing with Nick, but couldn't straight up say, you scare me, so she went with that.
Don't say I'm the only person in the world who's going to get comfort by meeting up with someone to complain about someone we both don't like. It wasn't malicious. I wasn't saying let's get the whole internet after her.
Nick was still in the wrong for this. He's a grown man. He didn't need to make jokes like this. I get it, he was frustrated that she flaked on a collab. He doesn't really apologize for the joke, but apologizes for tagging other YouTubers who were not involved.
I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go with Trisha. I mean, 3 years later, I was still upset by it. I reacted poorly to her standing me up. I shouldn't have messaged and called that many times. It really wasn't that big of an issue.
If it wasn't a big deal, then why did he need to tease an exposed video on her? Nick harps on her making money and getting thousands of subs from this to create the picture that Stephanie is actually the manipulator. I'm getting real James Charles and Tati flashbacks. Nick really used the Uno reverse card on this whole thing. I think we can all agree that this conflict could have been resolved with a face-to-face conversation. Both of them bringing it to the internet for others to speculate and pick sides is wrong. Nick got a lot of hate from everyone, and it seemed like everyone was on Stephanie's side. And that's the bigger issue here. YouTubers are constantly trying to expose each other in an attempt to ruin each other's careers, also to inflate their ego of how strong their audience is and how supported they are from the wider users of the internet. This drama, in the grand scheme of things, does not matter, but through tweets, reaction videos, we have been made to feel like it does matter. Nick will always be a polarizing character because of the way he eats and the constant sobbing.
It's disgusting.
So Stephanie's video was just the perfect stepping stone to cancel him, but he didn't allow this, and here we are. Honestly, this whole debacle is facetious, and hopefully it will be left in 2019. All I've got to say is don't pick sides, it's not worth it. Nick really should have uploaded this earlier. It would have led to the drama not being quite as big. There are definitely parts of the story that is missing. They are both twisting some truths, and from their perspective, they have done nothing wrong, which is human nature. But all in all, the mukbang community need to not turn into the beauty community. Anyway, I think I'm going to end the video here. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I wish you all a great new year, and yeah, have a great day.
Cheers, my friends.